first order of business, we left last week's vlog with a little uncertainty, as did most fantasy football championships. The game was postponed and then later canceled. They said they weren't going to replay it, which left a lot of matchups just in a frenzy. And most importantly, the Bash finals, right? This was our first year doing the Bash, and we're like, cool, let's have one normal-ass, clean ending to it. The NFL said no. So we had to pivot, and some people did some fun things to figure out their fantasy football championships, but we had too much on the line. We just had too much at stake. I felt like for us to make a rash decision or leave it up to weird chance or leave whatever the fucking case may be. Point of the story is we got on the call with both Jordan and David, the two finalists. We had one outcome just to make sure that they were both happy at the end of the call. The championship matchup was a real 50-50 at the end of the Monday Night Football game, or the conclusion of when they called it. So we didn't feel right going one way or the other. Didn't really care about projections because I didn't feel like that was fair either. Jordan had a lot of players left. David had one guy left. Point differential was there, so it was whatever. We got on the call and basically wanted to make sure they both came out happy. So what we did was we crowned them co-champs.
Yeah, it's good.
Wow, look at you.
Got the hat
and everything.
Yeah. It's not a great look, you showing up late to your first meeting as co-owner of BDGE.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Jordan's somehow even later than you are.
There he is.
What up?
Jordan. All right. Again, both of you pulling up to your first meeting as co-owners fucking late.
Bro, my fucking computer,
here we go.
it's a mess.
Here we go. All right, yeah, well, thank you guys for hopping on. Basically, listen, I have one goal from this meeting is to make sure that both of you guys are happy with the outcome of how this game is decided. I'm not like trying to take a dictator role here. I feel like it's very objectively up in the air, 50-50 as to who could have taken away the championship game here. I guess I'd like to hear your guys'. I mean, I know you had confidence in it, but we'll let the numbers speak for themselves. I'd like to hear like what you guys see as is fair. I mean, there are obviously multiple options. Like cutting the game right now that's the last thing I want to do. I definitely don't want to cut the scores right now. It's unfair to Jordan. It's unfair to just how fantasy football is played. If either of you guys have a strong viewpoint one way or the other, I mean, now is kind of the time to air it out.
I want to hear what David thinks kind of first, because he is in the lead.
Obviously, this has never happened before in the history of the NFL. You didn't want this to happen at the end of like year one of the Bash and all that, but I think it would be pretty cool. Just thought out of everything that happened if you just like crowned us as co-champions and split the prize as a
I want to stack on top of that because I was hoping you would say something like that. I would 100% be down with that, and if splitting the first place prize, that's fine with me.
Not even splitting it. Like you would get your 10,000 shares. If David wanted the money, he'd get his 5. Like we're not splitting it half.
Yeah.
Basically, we're eliminating the second place prize, and you guys are basically
both get your first place.
Both getting a version of the first place.
If David's cool with that, or has any more questions or thoughts or comments, I'm definitely fine with something in that vein. That would be, I think that would be cool. And again, I think, it's unprecedented, but I appreciate you guys, making us involved in the process.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm definitely down for that.
You don't got to choose what you want to do right now, and obviously any other further questions you have about the shares of the company, I'm happy to answer them in a different call over Discord, whatever you have. There's not like a pressure to get it done ASAP.
Yeah, we just want to see where you guys are at so we can kind of get a feel and try to just get this whole thing cleared up. So it's not like a month from now we're trying to figure it out.
Co-champs.
Well,
just like we wrote it up, right? Just like we drew it up.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm happy to have both of them as champs, man. I think they both represent the brand really well. Both down-to-earth dudes, both passionate dudes about fantasy and about the brand. So I'm happy to name both of them co-champions, and when the time comes next year when maybe we give them both each a rare league, that's cool. I think it ups the game a little bit. It gives double the amount of people the chance to be in a league with a champion. But that's how we decided it, and they were both happy with it for sure. I was happy that they were happy, and that's really all that matters for us. The differentiator between first and second place for us in terms of going into our pocket to give it out, we had a little bit left over in terms of resources to do some fun things with the Bash anyways, so not a problem. Not like we needed to dip into our pockets to a high extent in order to give the first place prize to both guys. So we will probably make a vlog at some point within the next month or so, kind of breaking down the Bash project and BDG 3 as a whole. With our first NFT project, it was a relatively large scale. You look at other NFTs and some of them made millions and millions of dollars. We made about $110,000 revenue USD. Put almost all of it back into the business, so profit was almost nothing. But I think along something that's that scale, you learn a lot, right? When you're doing it, and you only learn these types of things from actually doing it, fucking up, innovating, pivoting, and trying out new things. So we might do an entire vlog just talking about the lessons that we learned from this project in its entirety, so you can stay tuned for that. But that's the conclusion of the bash. Jordan, David, both co-champions. I will link at least Jordan's Twitter down below if you want to go congratulate him. Jordan is a creator in the space, so you can follow his work as it relates to IDP and defensive players, one of the few people in the space doing it. Now, on that note, with content creators within the fantasy space, one of the big changes that I realized that I needed to make was I needed to bring on another fantasy creator that, one, you guys trust, and two, really puts in the work and is at least like 60% of me in the go-getter mentality of fits with the brand, but also like puts in the work from a number and analytical perspective as it relates to fantasy football. Don't get it twisted. I realize that you guys like me, maybe if you're watching the vlogs, you like the brand, you like the people within the office, etc. But I understand that at the end of the day, what brings you back is the work that I put into the fantasy football videos. And that's why you continue to come back over and over and over again. And I felt like I needed to bring on somebody who's already done that and already proven that and wants to be part of the brand and fits in with the brand. So what I came to the conclusion of, my next hire will be, unless we come to some sort of contract agreement, but likely a full-time in-house fantasy football content creator. And I've gotten on 2 calls over the last week with 2 kids that I feel like are up and coming in the space, have already put in the groundwork for 3 or 4 years. The cool part about it is like, okay, I could post this on Twitter or YouTube and I would get hundreds of applications. Like, who doesn't want to be a full-time fantasy football content creator? This foundation of the brand that we built, like having an audience this size, gives us leverage in terms of like, I get to pretty much pick and choose who I want to interview, who I want to kind of hand select for this process, because I've already put in the work, right? I've talked about this all the time. Like, I don't care what people say, I care what people do, right? I don't care what you want to do for me, I care what you can do for me and are doing for me from a work perspective. So I would have hundreds of applicants all saying like, I'm so passionate about football, I'm so passionate about sports, I would do anything for this, I would drop my life. Don't care. Not to be mean, but don't give a fuck. All I care about is that you've already done this, right? Like, why would I bet on someone that might show up when I can go grab a kid that's been on YouTube for 3 or 4 years already, that I know has that work ethic, that will put the work in, and I know does good work. And he's like, that's someone I trust, right? That's what I did with like Noah Hills, No More Parties, that you guys have probably watched on the channel. He was someone whose work I watched for years before he was bringing on doing work on our platform. If he had just reached out to me via email and been like, hey, I love fantasy football, I love dynasty, I love rookie stuff, but had no content already on the web, there is a less than 0% chance he would be working with us and for us. That's the way I'm looking at this search right now. I don't want to rush things, but I've realized I need to take some of that off my plate, because I know in season fantasy, those guys do not take that off my plate. I realize that I've built this channel based off of my personality and doing that, but there are people out there that can do a lot of the things I'm doing, and I do think would resonate with you guys. So I'm gonna do my best to make sure I get someone that I trust that can do a lot of the in-season stuff that I'm already doing, or add on, because I realize when we get in season and I have a million other things to worry about, I cannot keep the high level of consistent quality churning out that you guys need, just like rankings videos and trade target videos and all those things that you really need to be in the ground and in the trenches for. I've had trouble staying on top of those things in season, because I'm doing the recaps, the live stream recaps on Monday, the waiver wire videos on Tuesday. We do an in-office podcast on Friday, and then Saturday's a Q&A. So it's like, I need someone who can split the workload with me 50-50, help me out with the products that we make, the draft guides, like the informational products that we make, and just people that I know have already done the work for years and years and years. So I don't need to question them like, oh, are you passionate about it? Do you love football? Do you love fantasy? All I need to do is go look at what they've done already. Boom. End of story. That puts you above 99% of applicants, which is why I say to anyone trying to break through in this space, the best way to do so is just by start doing it. Your portfolio, your pitch is strictly the content you've already put out. I look at it the same way from our business too. We actually were out last night at American Whiskey for the Georgia game. We'll talk about that in a brief moment. But we were talking to these 2 people, and they were like, what is your brand about? Like, if you were marketing to me or you were looking for investors, like, what would your pitch be? And not in like a cocky, weird way, but I was just like, I don't pitch people. It's like, if you don't already know who we are and kind of like come in naturally through what we're doing, or know that we've proven ourselves already, there's no point of a 15-second pitch in my eyes, right? It's just like you kind of like find us and you're like, hey, we're interested in what you're doing, we want to be a part of it. Or I reach out because I'm so interested in you, right? That's the same way I look at hiring a content creator, where it's like, if someone were to reach out to me with a 15-second pitch, it doesn't mean much to me, right? And that's kind of the way I look at forcing those things usually doesn't work. So American Whiskey was fun. Right before we went to American Whiskey, we had a meeting at Mojo.
All right, so we're headed to Mojo's office right now. Mojo is one of our bigger partners. They just also happen to be centrally located in New York City, like 5-8 blocks away from us, so easy for us to kind of like just check in with them. So hopefully we're not getting fired right now. That would throw a wrench in some things. We'll let Animal go to his meeting, we'll go to our meeting.
It looks just like it.
Mojo is one of our key partners for the year. You guys have probably heard us talk about Mojo before. It is I would say a revolutionary app and idea and a concept right now. They are only available in New Jersey, which has been a little bit of a pain point for, I guess, us as marketers for them, but them too. Like, it's got to be frustrating in there. They're working so hard. They're developing an amazing product with amazing tech, have a ton of people working there, but only people in New Jersey can play. So it's tough to get a lot of engagement through our audience. It's tough to get a lot of people on board because, you know, you can't use a product. Obviously, what are you there to be passionate about? So we had a meeting with them just to kind of go over like the first 4 months of our partnership. We started in September and it is now basically January, so 4 or 5 months or whatever. And we are on a deal with them for the entirety of the year. So September 1 to September 1. And we're almost halfway through. So we kind of just wanted to recap like how it's been, what we could do better, what they could do better, their plans for the future. And I appreciated that. I appreciate the fact that, I mean, they're super close to us, so we can kind of just sit down with them, have real open, transparent conversations with them about things we like, things we don't like. And that's the best way to have a partnership, man. I feel like as an advertiser for whether it's them or PrizePicks or Underdog, whoever we've worked with over previous years, the best way to have a successful relationship with those types of partners is to be extremely transparent about what you like and what you don't like. Because they are, as much as like you are just a mercenary for them, they're also looking to us. Like some of the reason I even really like building relationships within these partnerships is the fact that I feel like I'm kind of consulting them as well in this industry, because a lot of them are newer companies, so they don't really see the space as much as or as well as I do, because I've been doing this stuff for 7, 8, 9 years now, and I've seen players come and go, and I've seen which guys and brands and companies, I feel like at this point I have a pretty good grasp on who is going to play out long term and who's going to be a player for a while. So it's easy for me, like if I'm getting in with a company like Mojo at the start and they're like, hey, we need to expand, like we're looking to scale, who are other creators, brands, whatever, I'm right in there as a consultant being like, these 3, 5, 10 creators or brands I think match up with you guys perfectly, right? Reach out to this guy, he's cool as hell. If you need me to do an intro for the email, more than happy to do that kind of stuff. So it all comes full circle, and those are the best relationships in my opinion. Then you're like people who just do these one-off transactional relationships where they're just doing like an ad read here or an ad read there and have no real synchronization within the brand they're working with. That shit always feels super weird to me. That shit always feels like, I don't know, I would never want to do that. We'll put it that way. Meeting went fine though. Meeting was cool. Ike might have got some film inside the meeting, inside the office. I'm not really sure what he actually captured in there, but really cool place, really good company. Excited for the future with them and excited for the future of the University of Georgia. So I'm a lifelong Georgia fan as of October this year. My little cousin, shout out to Allie, goes to the University of Georgia. She is a sophomore now, so she's actually got to witness back-to-back championships in her first 2 years there. I went up or down there in October for the Georgia turned into a Southerner for the Georgia-Auburn game. Such a fun fucking weekend, and the energy at SEC games is unlike anything you've ever experienced before. If you haven't gone, I would highly suggest you go. If you have gone, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I became a Georgia fan like immediately. I wasn't really a fan of any other team. And we have the Georgia bar really close to our office. So sometimes we'll see big games being played and we'll look outside the window and be able to see like a huge line out of the Georgia bar because people are trying to get in. So for the national championship, we headed over there. It was an absolute madhouse in there. It was about 1,000 degrees. We got there at like 5:36, I want to say. Kickoff was not till about 8 o'clock. So we were there for like 2 hours before. It started getting sweaty. It started getting sloppy. It started getting gross in there real quickly. So I think we stayed for the first quarter. Georgia got up super big. Me and Tony, sharp as shit, took Georgia first half, minus 7.5. Animal took TCU plus 13.5, dull as shit.
And forced the keeper, Bennett, gets a block. Georgia draws first blood. The play action, Bennett looks down the middle, McConkey's wide open, touchdown Dogs!
And after the first quarter, we just moved to a bar across the or around the corner that there was literally nobody at. It was beautiful timing. Got to watch the game from there. Just a wholesome ass night. So, you know, we like to work hard, obviously. We like to play hard a little bit sometimes. And yeah, just a good overall week. I'm happy with the direction of where we are going. This company is going as of right now, as of when we made the changes about 3-4 weeks. This is the fourth vlog, I think, since we made those changes. So we're going in a good direction. Now, I have about 75 bullshit-ass tax things that I need to address. We got our business insurance canceled on us, because apparently they didn't know we were like a media company. We need multimedia business insurance, because we might be saying ignorant things like, actually, this entire video is probably uninsurable. I understand why they did it. I'll also be getting fucking ST-105 forms sent to me being like, you didn't file this shit. You have to pay us $0. I'm like, wait, hold up. What do you mean? I didn't file it, but I owe you $0, so I still have to file it, and I don't got to pay anything, so I don't actually owe anything. I swear the government just fucks with me sometimes. They're like, this kid doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Let's just send him T49 forms and fucking Z132 employee contract forminologies. All right, it's probably about time I shut the fuck up and end this video. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this vlog. We'll be back, as I've mentioned, every single Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern time, noon Eastern time, with these vlogs. If you like the business, if you like behind the scenes, if you like all this sheesh, then we will continue to roll it out. So if you did, hit the button that looks like this, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let us know what kind of fantasy content you want to see throughout the rest of the off season, because that will be our focus. Again, it's what got us here, and it's what needs to be the focus of our future. I know what our product is. It's high quality fantasy content, and it's vlogs. It's documentation, and it's fantasy football contentization.